Witney is this old blanket town about 15 miles from Oxford, in West Oxfordshire. The catchment, you see, is there. That all comes passed down there into the middle of town. So in 2007, well, it floods every twice a year anyway, but 2007 it's really bad. Okay, see, it comes all the way down through the road and feeds through a small stream there and out to the river. This is what it's like. Approximately 300 mil deep down the road. So it's a danger to people because they still try and cross it. Even, it's just crazy. It pours down the road, blocks the road, we have panics, can we come and shut the road and everything else. And it does flood properties at the top end. So the problem, large land drainage overflow, overtops an existing 900 mil culvert. The culvert has a grill on it, it's monitored by the EA with a camera and everything else. Flows properties at the top and the bottom of the road, and it flows down the public highway. First thing everyone says, oh, another culvert. Cost £500 to £1 million. Just haven't got the money. And they all say, highway authority. Well, hang on, it's land drainage. The highway element is very small. The county district do not have the available funds. District is the land drainage authority, they certainly don't have them up to £1 million. Public meetings were held. The local MP, I don't know if you know for that area, certain PM, it can be a help and a bit of a hindrance, everyone comes running to him, come and chair the meeting. First on residents, it's culvert's blocked. No, it's exceeded completely. So we did a camera survey. I give a 30-minute video show in the local pub for about 30 odd people there. I've never seen so many people's interest in a camera survey. It's really boring, Got a few little cables going through and things. No blockage, that stunned them a bit. But their eyes glued to the screen. Really funny. Right, so we had to look at a way forward. So the MP was quick to say, you must find a way. You must stop my, these residents flooding. So looking at it, what can we do? The road's already a flood corridor, so that's one thing. And no houses must flood, really. So educating the local residents about the dangers of fast flowing water, which is a real struggle. It is. We had a walk on a Saturday morning. So all the people get flooded, met people all up down the road, listened to everything, stood where the water pours out off the fields, through a small gap between two houses, and what can we do? So, doing that is quite good. You've got to involve people, and the people who are flooded, the best people to involve. They tell you everything, say, right, okay, what can we do? We can't put a new culvert down the road, no money. Not only that, you'd never get it in anyway, all the services. There's no way we can dig up the whole road and move all the services to one side. Completely impossible. So you work through. This is what we did. Start at the top. Okay, what can we do here? Water built up around the wall, flowed over. Okay, well, let's cut the wall out. Let's put a fence in, a metal fence, so it comes straight through. So there's no big build-up. Carries on. Then we move through across the playing area. Okay, let's put a swale through there. Drop curbs. Feed the water through the middle. Rather than it spread round, flood the houses, let's feed it down. Then we're looking to build up curbs and things to divert the water, to make sure it does go down the road. Right, so I use travel curbs going through, and use the soil we took up, built up behind them. So that funneled the water going through. The existing culvert, how do we make sure it's working full capacity? At the moment it's blowing off covers. So okay, we're going to bolt down the covers, but we've got to put some grills in to release the pressure. And so we're lifting the road. At the bottom end, lower curves to feed it off through. Improve the stream outfall at the bottom. Provide some portable flood barriers, because it was hitting houses, so gave them the flood barriers, brought a firm in, they showed them how to use them, set them up, everything else. They took control of them. You know, because we could never be out there at that time, none of us. You know, you're flooding 20 miles away, you could never get there in time. So the flood group there, they're very keen, give them to that, give them the instructions and let them and do it. Provide property protection and provide signs. Now we were working with district councils, Thames Water, Environment Agency. So the four partners plus the residents. So it's a real joined up approach. So Thames Water bolted down their covers. The district got money and sorted out the property protection. And we did the works on the highway. And the EA gave approvals. Oh. So I shouldn't say it. No, they helped. Right. Double, triple curbs going through. Before, it was going right across that green into the houses. So you need to funnel it down the road. Property protection, built a flood wall at the bottom. The wall is the same as the stone as the buildings too. Because you've got to think about, well, they're going to sell the houses afterwards. You know, so it's got to look nice. You know, costs a little bit more, but you know, you've got to be reasonable and think of that. Recognise the picture. Big swell across the green, mostly built up around the edges. Kids play football in the middle. No, that didn't affect them. But the water came from between those houses right across there and funnels down. And we pushed it into the road and kept it in the road. And that stopped, you know, this side was higher, so this side was flooding. So doing that, it stopped the flooding.
About 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. Property protection going in. Some large across the alleyways. Grill going in on the covers, replacing that. Going through. That's the flood wall at the bottom end. I mean, it really looks part of the property, you wouldn't know. The gateways, they had the flood barriers. In fact, you just see one in the white one in the middle there, which doesn't look out of place. Floods come down, that's the grill overflowing. I think they're really essential. Make sure the cover's working full and stop blowing covers. But they still can drive down it, no matter how much it floods. Bottom end, that's the flood wall there with the gate there. You see it pours down the top, floods there, then comes off over to the left and goes off into the stream and down to the river. Key points. Working together. Must include the local community. Very important, because it gives them ownership. They feel part of it, they look after it, keep an eye on it. You know, it saves you some work. Developing a joint solution, working as partners. Best thing to do. Let everyone have their say. Therefore, no one has the nose put out. Everyone feels part of it then. Key risks, life and property. Trying to explain, you know, the risks, why we're doing something, why we can't put a culvert in, why we can't do various things or build up more walls, etc. And risk assessment and the solution. Go through all the thought processes with the partners. You know, what it's going to do, what you must do. We're giving you signs, you put them out, fine. You ring up first and say, I'm going to close the road, put signs out, fine, okay, you do that. We'll mark it down. Make sure you take them down afterwards. Because this flood only lasts 12 hours. A big storm comes down, then it goes. So it's not a long-term thing. And is that all right?
Well, thank you, Gordon. I really enjoyed the before and after photos, actually. That was really good. You've got some pictures there showing us that it actually works, which is good. Okay, we'll take some questions for Gordon then from the floor, please.
Martin Tidman, Wessex Water. Were you successful in stopping the floodwater getting into the foul drainage system? Because we've had a lot of cases where we've got floodwater going through a village and it's finding its way into the foul system, which then surcharges and contaminates the floodwater. Yeah,
a part of the process on this was that Thames Water, they sealed their covers in the road. And that stopped a lot of water going into the system. So they couldn't get in from the highway. Roof water, you can't stop. But from the highway, we stopped that. They stop there because one of the dangers, covers lifting, you know, it's dangerous road users, people walk into them, you know. By bolting down all the covers, that does help.
So you're not really getting any significant contamination at all in the floodwater?
We were before we bolted down the covers.
Right. Yeah.
Because the covers were lifting and there was sewage coming down the road as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's Richard here, please.
Richard Allett from Richard Allett Associates. Excellent talk. What I think that says to me is that it's important we have a very low standard for these exceedance routes so the general public know that they're going to operate. So when this operates twice a year, is that better for the public because they know about it, or is it best if it only operates once every 20 years when it comes as a big surprise to them? I think this type of scheme, being very basic, you know, it's not highfalutin, it's not, you know, big design, everything. It's back to basics, and they can understand that. So I think they would prefer it to operate more often than less often for stopping flooding. I think, you know, keeping things simple is good, I think.
Okay. Down the front here, Suzanne. Martin.
Martin Osborne from Michelle. You're relying on volunteers with road signs to close the road. Did you consider some sort of automatic traffic light system or something like that, and would that have had any benefits?
We didn't consider it. One of the cost and also the thing, if it only works twice a year, then things break down, don't they? The residents are very keen. I think you find most residents in places which flood are very keen. Can we close the road? Can we do this? And giving them an option, say, well, here's the signs. This is where you're going to put them. How you do it, but you must ring and say we're going to do this. And you must take them in afterwards. And having that responsibility, I think they appreciate, because we have so much flooding caused by idiots who drive through and bow waves, you know, and flood properties where they needn't be flooded at all. And so people are keen to do this, I think.
Okay. Yep.
Hash Patel from Brent Council. Got this question in two parts. The first one is about the bolting down the foul manholes. I presume they were bolted down to stop the water coming out.
Yeah.
If you bolt the manhole down, obviously you're transferring the pressure somewhere else, and obviously it's going to come out at the other lower point. Were there any incidents that they were coming out from the property or domestic manhole covers? And the second...
Hang on, we'll answer the first one, then I'll come back to you for the second one, okay? Let's just do one at a time. Okay.
I left the foul covers to Thames Water to sort that out. And they obviously went through and bolted down. And one would assume they looked at that properly.
I'm sure Thames Water would have looked at the effect.
I mean, I'd looked at mine because I put a grill in to allow pressure to come out and stop lifting the road where the covers were bolted down.
We have a colleague from Thames Water on the front row who's nodding heavily to the answer to that question. Okay. Your second question.
Right. The second question is, when you were designing the scheme for the exceedance, did you consider the option of opening up the culvert and making the channel wider?
To open up the culvert, one, it ran down the edge of the road, so it would destroy a third of the road going down. And the cost of that is be quite extreme, with all the services going through, and to try and widen. And to be honest, to widen it, we'd have to double or treble the width of it to cope with those sort of flows coming down there. And EA's best thing, cost benefits, you know, for twice a year or something, is it really worth doing that? But I think what we've done, I know old engineers think, well, using the road as a flood corridor, it's bad for the road, but it's only for 10, 12 hours. You know, once it's gone, it's gone. I don't see much damage to it.
But I thought the road got flooded anyway before you did it, didn't it?
Yeah,
okay.
so...
Yeah. Okay. Question along here somewhere.
Hello, James Whittingham from ACOM. Quick question. What return period was it designed to, and what was the return period in those photos?
I couldn't say, to be honest. We just, I looked at it, we looked at it and said, okay, what can we do safely? 3 curbs high at the side was probably about the limit we could do there. And funneling it down, because most of it went down the road anyway, and we just need to channel it in areas and build the flood wall. So, I didn't work out return periods, and it's very hard to do with catchments flowing off hills, to be honest.
Could I ask you, what was the overall cost of doing that work, roughly?
About 40,000.
Yeah, I think the danger is it's cost £40,000 to do the work. It could cost you more than £40,000 answering your question. No, seriously, to do a modelling study to actually definitively answer that question would cost easily that amount of money, I guess. Yeah, so I don't not be facetious about it. It was a genuine comment. We've got a
Sorry, I've got one more question.
Yeah. Go on.
During
Have another one.
Sorry, during low flows in the road, in winter periods, would it freeze and cause an issue with highways?
We haven't had that at all. Low flows, it stays within the culvert normally.
Right, okay then.
It does. Because it's built up at the top end and it's channeled into the culvert.
Right, okay. What about flows that just about tops it and sits there for 12 hours? Would it freeze?
We've never had it flow in winter period where freezing has been a problem.
Okay. I'm going to take a couple more questions. I've got a gentleman here who's been waiting. Suzanne, if you... Paul down near the front, and then another one on the front row down here.
Hello, I'm Sean from Mott MacDonald. I'm a senior flood modeler. I was fortunate to review that Haley Road drainage model actually last year, I think. Have you looked at some of the options to stop the water upstream actually before even reaching the Haley Road, actually, like temporary ponds or something like that, or some changing the landscape in the upstream end?
There are options. They're probably going to build all around there anyway, to be honest. And the part of the planning would say that you're going to put in flood storage, and that would help. It won't stop it because it's a lot of land and there's a lot of storage you need. This is also the area where the young lad died. He went into the stream, which took a lot of headlines, and a lot of blame was trying to push on DA and the counties and districts and stuff, So there's going to be whatever's there, it's going to be large area of storage. So, and to be honest, the money for doing that, for getting the land and doing that at a time, it's cheaper to do this, what we did.
Okay, thank you. And I think somebody on the front row, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, David Singleton. My question's related to that, and whether any landscape changes to land use upstream were considered as part of the overall solution.
Because it's within their planning to build anyway, we thought it best left till that comes along, then the developer pays. Yeah. Well, as part of 106 or whatever, because getting agreement from landowners, because they know that the development's in the offing, they wouldn't want to change too much. It might affect their profits on selling the land for development.
Always an important consideration, I guess.
For developers, it is. Plus, it would have taken a lot of work, a lot of survey to work that out. And to be honest, the residents were fed up. Do something. And we got on and did something. And it has worked, and they're happy.